everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Prepping by Faith, and today I'm going to be sharing an article with you guys coming to us from Natural News entitled U.S. Household Debt Hits Record $16.9 trillion Amid Persistent Inflation. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. It says the Federal Reserve's quarterly report on household debt and credit shows how much American households are struggling to cope with incessant inflation. According to the latest edition of the report, total U.S. household debt hit a record $16.9 trillion during the fourth quarter last year, up 2.4% from the previous quarter, which is equivalent to $394 billion. And most of it, they say, is due to mortgages, but credit card balances are also swelling at record levels. Worse, delinquencies are on the rise as well. And why do you suppose that is? Because people are struggling to even afford to put food on the table. So they're having to put, groceries on those cards. They're probably having to cover utility bills with those cards. And, people cannot continue to absorb these astronomical increases that we've been witnessing. They say credit card debt in the United States increased at the fastest pace during the fourth quarter. Credit card balances increased nearly 6.6% to $986 billion during the quarter, the highest quarterly growth on record since at least 1999. And year over year, credit card balances grew 15.2%. Some of that, guys, could be to, spending on items that people do not need as well. There are a lot of people out there that are not considering the fact that they should not be acquiring all of this excess debt, and they want to still live life as usual. But I do believe that there are a lot of people that are just struggling to make ends meet, and it's become a necessity to even put our groceries on those credit cards. So early delinquencies, which refer to credit card users making payments that are at least 30 days late, rose last quarter to 5.9%, up from the 5.2% the previous quarter. And the serious delinquencies that are 90 days or more rose to 4%, up from the 3.7% in the prior quarter. And they say that 18.3 million Americans were behind on their credit card payments at the end of 2022. And due to high inflation, we know that about 2/3 of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, getting swamped by all these bills they cannot afford. They did have an individual in here that they talked to from California who said he was absolutely horrified that his utility bill is nearly 8 times higher than it was the previous year. And as we know, in California, they have fairly mild winters, and that, those bills should not be increasing to the extent that they are. This stuff is outrageous. The price of food is also continuing to soar. And they're telling people in an article from the Wall Street Journal to save money, maybe you should skip breakfast. Can you believe this? This is the kind of stuff that they are printing. Now, myself personally, I don't eat breakfast anyhow. I really never have. And that is also a way to help you with intermittent fasting. It's something that is good for your body to do. But I would never advocate that people just go ahead and do that as a cost saving measure. We should not be having to reduce ourselves to 2 meals a day just because we can't afford to eat, especially children, guys. Children should never be skipping meals. That's nothing that we should ever be advocating for. Now, central banks all over the globe are raising interest rates in a desperate attempt to get this inflation under control, which is only making it harder for people to get out of this debt trap. Higher interest rates are also starting to seriously affect our economic activity, and we're witnessing that in new home construction in America, which has fallen to the lowest level since the early days of the pandemic. Americans and other people in the country all over the world, other countries all over the world, are in a no-win situation. So we're at a point where if they quit raising interest rates, inflation could potentially spiral out of control. But if they keep raising them, then the economy is going to continue to implode. So they have to sort of choose their poison, and we're in a no-win situation. I did want to touch on the numbers from the CPI report. We know that they are at 6.4% right now, and that all items have risen 0.5% in January as the price of shelter increases, they say. But I wanted to touch on the actual categories. So, food, they say, is 10.1%, and energy is at 8.7%. Now, the only reason that energy costs are reduced at all is because of the excess pulling from the oil reserves that they have been doing, right? And like I've mentioned before, once we can no longer do that, then this is going to soar. This is not going to stay at this suppressed level. It is being artificially held in check because of what they are doing with the oil reserves. The other thing I wanted to mention is that I do not believe that this is all we have witnessed across the board as far as food continuing to increase. I believe that is much higher than that. People will naturally gravitate away towards cheaper solutions when they're trying to find substitutions, and that sort of thing is not going to be reflected into this report. So I wanted to touch on that. And guys, really the only thing that we can do is continue to prepare to the best of our abilities. We understand that prices are not going to come down anytime in the near future, and we have to put aside what we can afford to feed our families. So focus on things that are going to be affordable, that are going to be more of long-term items. Stick with your core staples like your flour, your sugar, your baking powder and sodas, your oils. Your canned goods are another good one. Everything from vegetables to your protein sources, peanut butter, all those kinds of things that you know that you can rotate into your regular eating, that are not only going to help stretch your budget because you're buying them at today's prices, but they are also going to be there in case you were in an emergency situation. So as we look at this report, I also wanted to touch on the fact that inflation, guys, has never really truly ever gone away. Since 1960, somebody went ahead and pulled a report and said that the average inflation rate was over 3%. I believe it was around 3.38 or 3.48 on average since 1960 per year. And also, the last 10 years, it has been over 2%. So we know that inflation is here to stay. It's not something that's going away. So it is always a good idea to continue preparing, because what we can buy at today's prices, we know is going to increase over time. So we need to be continuing to put aside extras now. Now, there are certain instances where you may find things for a cheaper price, depending on what that item is during a specific sale at a certain time of year. So I would encourage you to wait for those larger items that you may find deeply discounted at certain holidays, like around Black Friday. But as far as food, as long as you can find a sale that is running on that and you see a good price, pick those things up now, because you know that you're going to need them. Same thing with hygiene products, clothing, anything that we can find, especially clothing. You can buy that stuff out of season and get that heavily discounted. Whatever you can find on clearance, put it away if you know it's something that you're going to need, with an emphasis on things like socks and underwear. The other thing I wanted to say, guys, is that no matter how dark it gets, we know that we can trust the Lord to help strengthen us for the days ahead. We should be praying for wisdom in how to handle the resources that we have, because He can reach us on a level that we cannot. Sometimes our minds get so caught up in what is happening around us that we cannot think clearly, and we can't think past the end of the nose on our face. But God has a way of showing us how to supernaturally stretch what we have and help it to go further, and give us ideas on ways to make that happen. So I want to encourage you to continue seeking Him with your whole heart and asking Him what you should do, because as long as we are putting Him first place, then He has the ability to reach us and to share these things with us, so that we have the fortitude, the mental fortitude, the spiritual fortitude for the days ahead that we are facing. If you guys have enjoyed this video today, please give me a like, share, and subscribe. And remember to pray, prep, and put God first. God bless. Hey guys, are you concerned about the death of the dollar? Are you concerned about a full-blown economic collapse? If you are, I want you to consider giving Genesis Gold Group a call. They are a Christian-based company that is going to help you roll over your 401k into a gold-backed IRA that is self-governed. You also have the ability to send them cash and take possession of those precious metals if that is something that you would like to do. As we see all of these things unfolding before us, the sky high inflation, the move away from the US dollar as a petrodollar, and we see the central bank digital currencies that are going to be underway this summer. Preserving our wealth through precious metals is one way to sort of hedge our bets and make sure that we have something that is going to be more substantial to carry us forward. So go ahead, check them out. They are Genesis Gold Group, genesisgoldgroup.com, or give them a call at 1-800-200-4653. Tell them Prepping by Faith sent you, and God bless.